Welcome back, hopefully. Welcome back to another episode of Red on Air. I am your host, Mason Brown, here with the always energetic and kind Caitlyn Bairstow, who you will know from, I would say most notably from My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, but you've been all over the place, and I'm very, very excited to interview you today. How are we doing on this fine Thursday evening?
Hey Mason, I'm doing super good. It's a beautiful day outside. It's nice and sunny in Vancouver, a nice switch from the cold weather 2 weeks ago.
Yes, I've been quite enjoying the sunniness, but kind of like this light breeze that's been going on. It's been good. I've been testing out my big sun hats that I bought the other day, so feeling extra fashionable, and I'm not turning into a lobster outside, which is great. Well, if you're ready to rock and roll, we'll go ahead. We'll dive right into number one.
Yeah, let's get into it.
What made you interested in becoming a voice actor?
Growing up, I loved cartoons. I adored cartoons. It was my favorite thing. Like, all my friends were like, "You're not watching Friends? You're not watching Gilmore Girls?" I'm like, "No, I want to watch Inuyasha and Beast Wars."
Yeah.
And I loved cartoons. They were my favorite thing growing up. And I always knew that I wanted to be in that industry, that's where I was going to end up.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're young, you think the only thing you can do in that industry is be an animator, right?
Yeah.
So for a while, I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be an animator. But I'm so not good at any form of drawing or artistic skill that requires using my hands.
Right.
So it was such a non-starter there. And as you get older, I found out that I was pretty good at performing. I had a pretty good kind of like energy for that. I did a bit of drama in high school. I did some singing just on my own time because I liked it. And I eventually found out what a voice actor was, what that job entailed. And it kind of just felt like it clicked. I'm like, oh, that's the thing. That's the thing I want to do. I'm going to be a part of cartoons by doing the voice stuff. And I didn't really start pursuing it until after I kind of graduated from high school. But when I graduated from high school, I said, I am going to find a career path, find a secondary school that points me in that direction, and I'm just going to go after that. That's what I want.
You know what? I've interviewed like 3 or 4 people at this point now. Your description of your sort of path, even funny enough, starting with something like Beast Wars, which we'll get back to in a second. I totally get that. It was a very, very similar path for myself, so I understand that sentiment of being like, hey, I want to study animation or cinematography or whatever, and then it just veers off into that direction. I totally get that. I actually moved to Vancouver partly because I was going to go to VFS and I was going to study animation, and then something along the way, just same as you, clicked, and it was like, no, this is it. This is the thing. You feel at home in the booth is how I describe it.
Yeah, that's that feeling. It's so odd when it happens because you feel so aimless when you're young. And then when the thing clicks, you're like, oh, I found the thing I'm going to focus on. Let's go.
Sort of a little thing. Is your family sort of heavily involved in the arts? Like, are they kind of
not at all?
People? Not really. Okay.
Not at all. And it was a bit of a point of contention. It was kind of like I really wanted to do acting school, but I knew it wasn't really on the table, which is why I ended up going to BCIT and pursuing radio broadcasting instead. Because I'm like, if I go that way, it's not perfectly ideal, but it at least gives me enough skills that if I jump into voice work and it's wrong and I'm bad at it, I have backups, which is like my mom was always big on having a second plan, a plan B, knowing where you're going to fall if something doesn't work out. It was really interesting because it was a bit of a back and forth with me and my mom, because my mom worked really hard. She moved across country when she was young, had to really kind of pull herself up by her bootstraps type of woman. And there was a bit of weirdness of you really want to focus on that thing that's not making you any money when maybe you could go focus on another job with your training. And so there was a bit of back and forth, but I was very lucky and I was really focused on it. And I got my agent pretty quickly after I started looking for one. And then I pretty quickly booked a job after that. And as soon as I started making money, my mom's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that can happen.
Yeah.
Even a double weird thing with the bootstraps thing, with the all that, the reflective thing where my mom was a single mom, bootstraps, moved, young kids, that sort of thing. So no, just weird things that are
parallels, as Mabel would say.
Yeah.
What is happening?
I don't know. Did we just become best friends? What's your favorite dinosaur?
Yeah,
1, 2, 3, Velociraptor. I will have to ask you, because you mentioned one of the greatest Transformer shows of all time, Beast Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Which is apparently making a comeback, so say the leaks, of next year's product lineup.
I know, I tweeted about it, and I was like, you guys better bring back our Vancouver boys.
I know. I don't know if they will, just because of what's been going on with the voice acting stuff and the unions and Frank Welker and Peter Cullen not being a part of it, but that's a whole other can of worms. I just want to know favorite character. Beast Wars favorite character.
Beast Wars?
Yeah.
Rat Trap.
Alrighty.
It was always a battle, because, like, back then, Rat Trap was funny, but Cheetor was cool. You know when you're a kid and that's all you need?
Yep. Oh, I've got my Cheetor sitting in the shelf next to Rat Trap and Tigatron. Like,
we had a Cheetor. It was my sister's, and she loved it.
Nice. See, as time has gone on, I've kind of flipped back and forth, but I think it's Tarantulas. I think he's my favorite evil spider.
Well, and Black Arachne was cool, too.
She's cool. She's great. I love Black Arachne.
For, like, the one girl.
Her and Air Razor. Now's it. I could talk at nauseum about Beast Wars and all that wonderful 90s Rainmaker stuff. But instead, we will continue with the thing that we're here for. And we will go on to question number 2, which could be in the same field. What is a project or franchise you would like to be on? One that you haven't been on yet, but you'd like to be on.
I have a really basic answer to this, because I would love to be in Macross Frontier. That's always my go-to. Partially because it was one of my favorite animes growing up.
Right.
And also, I know it's impossible. So it's really easy to kind of fantasize about the thing that's pretty impossible, because, like, the whole Harmony Gold licensing thing, the chances of a Macross ever coming back to the West is pretty far off. So I would love to be a part of that. But, like, outside of that, like, you know, I love animes. I love superheroes. I love magic girls. Anything like kind of fun and meaty like that would make me happy.
I totally get that. That makes sense. I like that it was Macross, that was your answer, because kind of with the other people I've asked, you know, it was kind of answers, not to say that they're bad answers in any respect, because I kind of just based off of what they had talked about in the first question, what their answers were going to be, but I like that yours is a little bit of this sort of left field.
Well, it's fun to have a dream that's, like, almost, you know it can't happen, so then there's always that, like, feeling of, like, so when it doesn't, I won't be sad.
Right.
Because it's the chances of that ever coming over here are so low. But, like, I really identified with Ronka, one of the main characters, when I was watching the show, and I've always really flocked to that kind of, like, whisper of the heart character, that, like, the young artist trying to make their way, which I'm sure every actor in the world does.
Yes.
But I love the journey of actors who are starting out. I love the journey of, like, oh, here's the young up-and-comer who has to go to their commercial audition, who has to go to their dance training so that they can have a shot at that one live show. Like, I love those types of storylines. I find them very easy to identify with. I see myself in them a lot, so Macross Frontier was one of those for me, and I would love the shot of doing something like that. But again, that little nice fallback of it'll never happen, so it's okay to dream.
Well, that's all right. If you ever want to just do a fan dub of Macross, I'll be there to support you. You are in no short supply of people to help with that. Funny that you say sort of aspiring young artist, that group would identify with something like that with Ronka, because question number 3 is, what is something you wish you could have told your past self or people starting out? What's a little nugget, a knowledge you want to pass on to the up-and-comers who are getting into it?
Ooh, the up-and-comers.
Or your past self, yeah.
Or my past self.
Yeah.
I guess something that is very important is that it's that understanding of it's hard. And it's gonna be hard. And there's no rhyme or reason, and there's no schedule, and it's super helter-skelter. And you just kind of have to learn to love that.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I think there's this misunderstanding that once you book a role, you're in. You've got it. But it's really not that way. And even seasoned professionals will have bad years.
Yeah.
Especially when you get up to a level where you're kind of competing professionally. It gets to a point where it's not just about taking classes or redoing my demos because the stuff I have is good and I know the stuff I'm doing is good. What it comes down to then is just, you just weren't quite right for that role.
Yeah.
And you'll go through sometimes you'll go through months where a bunch of big shows will come in and you're just not quite right for any of the roles. And that'll happen. And it will feel sad, but you kind of move through it. And then other times you'll have years where 10 cartoons are in town and you've booked on all of them because there's so much luck involved. And I think it's important to let younger people who are starting out know that there's no rhyme or reason to what happens sometimes. And luck and just being at the right place at the right time is really important. Like, obviously you need to have skills to back it up, but so much luck is gonna be really important because sometimes you'll just luck out and the job that comes up right when you're starting out is perfect for you. And then you'll get that nice little foot in the door right away. And so there's a lot of luck involved, and sometimes you're just not gonna book something and it's not because you're not good, it's just because this just wasn't the part for you.
That's something that we've kind of scratched the surface of before, but like, especially in live action acting, you know, I've done a plethora of auditions I was with my previous agent, who was super awesome and super great, very hardworking. You know, she would send me out for literally anything she could think that I would go for. And I booked, I think collectively with my 3 years of being with her, maybe 7 or 8 things. That, I think, is a pretty solid run for having done probably almost 100 auditions within that time of working with her. A lot of it boils down to sometimes you just don't look the part, and it's not that you're untalented or you lack any sort of skill. It's just that sometimes they go with just something different.
Yeah.
It happens.
Sometimes it's something different. Sometimes it comes down to the chemistry. Like, something a lot of people don't think about, especially for prelay shows, is there's like 9 or 10 characters they need to fill. And sometimes who they want for the lead sounds a little too similar to you.
Yeah.
Or suddenly you get into the room and you realize that the 2 girl characters are sounding too similar and you have to make changes on the day. Like, there's so much goes into building a cast. And there's so many little things you have to consider, how the voices sound against each other, if you're someone's older sister or younger sister, how is your age coming across to the person you're playing against? There's so many little things involved. And I think another good thing to think about is, this is what I always talk about, is to be professional. I always say to people, you need to think of it like it's a business. Because it is. It is a business that you run. Your business is yourself as an actor. And I think a lot of people, when you start to think of it more like a business, start to understand the kind of ebbs and flows of this industry a little better.
Absolutely. I don't think I can really add anything to that. I've remember doing an audition for something you were casting and going in and being like, cool, I get to go see Caitlyn today and hang out for 5 minutes and do this audition. And then it just wasn't something that I ended up booking, but it was like, yeah, well, I probably wasn't great for that part because I know my range and, you know, my whole thing was go in and, you know, be ready to have fun, but also, you know, you have to have a level of professionalism.
And that's definitely something I found because I often cite GGRP and being the talent coordinator there as being, because I'm an actress with a day job.
Yes.
And I like my day job, so like I think about sometimes like, oh, one day am I gonna just live off acting? I could. I've had years where financially it's been totally fine, but I like my day job and it gives me, because I am the talent coordinator at a sound studio and I get a cast and deal with the unions and build contracts and things like that, and having that kind of other side of it I found has really informed how I treat the industry.
Right.
Because you really start to see all the little things that you kind of forget when you're an actor. When you go in and you do an audition and you're like, oh, you leave the room and you're like, oh my gosh, they all hated me, that went so badly, or oh, that was perfect, they were laughing. Sometimes the people on the other side aren't even paying attention to you, even though you're auditioning, because they're just gonna listen to your MP3 later. There's so many little things that go on that really affect every piece of this industry, and I feel very grateful that I've had that other side to inform my work and how I kind of pursue acting myself.
Yeah, it's always good to have that, even if you can't get sort of that professional perspective from being on the other side, just a general sense of acknowledgement or empathy with anybody involved. I mean, something a lot of people I find get frustrated about is they're like, well, they're going to audition all these people and they're not going to pick me and they're not going to do, and it's like, well, they want to pick you. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Why would they want to sit there and sit through 400 auditions if they can get through 20 auditions, you come in, you're number 21, and you nail it? Like, they want every single person that goes in that room, they want them to be the person that's right.
Anytime I do casting, I want every person who comes in to be amazing.
Totally.
Because I want to be inspired. I wanna cast them. I want them to come in and be perfect. because that makes my job easier. If someone comes in and is just good, that's the best.
Yeah.
And even if you come in and you're not right for this, it doesn't mean that if you wow me, I won't think of you for other things. And I find something that's very interesting is there's a lot of trust with casting directors. And casting directors, I know some people kind of get upset because they're like, oh, it's hard to get into, and the casting never brings me in. But you have to understand that casting involves a lot of trust. And sometimes you have situations where you can open the door and see 100 people. And sometimes you have situations where you're like, I can only see 10. I need to bring in 10 people I know will do the job. And there's a lot of trust that you build between yourself as an actor and casting. And when they trust you to know you can do the job, they'll bring you in. It doesn't mean that, and if you aren't brought in, it doesn't mean that you're not good or they don't trust you yet. It just means that they're like, okay, this is a weird one. I can't see everyone for this. I have to be specific with this.
I see that online a lot as a point of contention that a lot of people starting out understandably are frustrated about, is they're feeling like, I'm not getting cast in this thing. This is frustrating. They only hire the professionals who have been doing it for 25 years. But you gotta understand that if there's a professional who's been doing it for 25 years and exact situation like you just said, you can only look at 10 people for casting. You're in that time crunch. It kind of makes more sense in a way to look at the person who you have guaranteed 25 years of experience doing it, because you just know that they're gonna do a solid job. Doesn't mean that those acting jobs are dried up and those people who are clamoring to get hired for stuff are never gonna get a chance to do stuff. It is a slow burn. Unfortunately, it can be a very, very slow burn sometimes.
And my thought is, if you're getting brought in, if you know your MP3s are getting heard, that's the best case scenario. I've always been told that if you get a callback and you don't book the job, you still did everything right.
Yeah.
At that point, it came down to semantics. It came down to voice sound and how you played off someone else. But if you've gotten a callback, you've already done everything right. And if you're getting in, and now more days as well, if you're getting into a booth versus just an MP3, you've also already just done everything right. Because you've been interesting enough or put down something interesting enough that a casting director says, yeah, I want to see this person in person.
Foot in the door. That's what it is, foot in the door. Well, we will jump on to number 4 now. I think that was brilliant. What's a question that you would want to be asked, or something that you wish people inquired more often about? Like, what's something you want people to really be asking about when they're talking to professional voice actors or going into the industry? What's something you wish people asked about more?
In what kind of context? Like at a convention or like one-on-one?
It could be either. I say for this, we'll just say convention for this instance. If you have someone who comes up to you and they're like, oh my gosh, I love your stuff. What's something that you kind of want them to ask you about? Because people are always going to ask you sort of the 5 same basic questions of, well, exactly what we're doing here. How did you get started, and what do you want to be in? But what's something you want them to ask you?
In a convention setting, like, I guess what I'd want people to ask me about would be, what's a job you worked on that no one has seen that you loved? This is like a question of me versus not being like a helpful question, especially in like convention settings and stuff. You get asked the same 5 questions. You get asked about the same 5 shows all the time. And sometimes you'll do these little one-offs or these little shows that go nowhere, get no marketing, nobody sees, but means so much to you. Like, I've done shows where like I loved doing it. I loved my character. And then when it comes out, it kind of just drops to no real fanfare. It just kind of gets put up on a YouTube channel somewhere. No one really sees it. But that show meant a lot to me. And it can feel really nice when people are interested in these little shows that maybe not a lot of people have seen. Like when you're sitting and someone's like, hey, I really liked you in this obscure video game you did. It's like, oh my gosh, you played that? I loved that thing. Let's talk about that. Because those little jobs can sometimes get no kind of attention from the zeitgeist and the vast audience, but to you can mean so much and can be firsts for you and can be characters you adored that just never went anywhere. So in like a convention setting, I'd love to be asked about those smaller roles that don't get as much attention. One-on-one as like advice to somebody, I guess I just want people to ask detailed questions, if that makes any sense.
No, I think that does. Yeah.
I find you get a lot of like how-dos And I'm like, okay, well, like in a general sense, I can kind of explain, but having detailed questions are really gonna get you good answers. And like, if someone comes up to me and they're like, tell me about the Vancouver agents who handle voice, I'll be like, okay, I can tell you who they are. I can kind of tell you a place to go and see what their roster is like. I find a lot of questions you get from people starting out are so general and like they haven't done a lot of pre-research. They just kind of want you to tell them exactly how you did it. And I find you'll get better answers and more informative answers when you're detailed. When you actually like, okay, I know these 3 agents, tell me about them. Or, oh, I want to do a demo and I'm starting to write my characters. What are your thoughts? Specific things that shown you've kind of done the groundwork, I find, is going to get you way better advice than just kind of being like, hey, how do the voice?
Yeah.
So I find, like, if you're gonna ask a voice actor a question, try and be specific, because if you ask a general question, you'll get a general answer. And a lot of us has said these answers over and over again, and they stop being full of that, like, okay, let me help you, because I know how to.
It makes me think about, and I think I talked with Christian about this. It might have been Christian or it might have been Asia. I'm spacing here. But it was that, well, how did you get started doing professional gigs? Well, I knew somebody in the industry. Okay, but what's your thing? No, I knew somebody in the industry. Like, that thing about knowing people in the industry kind of being a really, really helpful gateway into it, seeming like an unsatisfying answer to people who are aspiring to be voice actors. It's like, no, that is just the answer. I'm very sorry, but that is the answer, is I just knew somebody.
I always feel like my story of how I got here is a little weird, because I went to broadcast school, and then as part of my schooling you have to do an internship. So I ended up at GGRP, which is a sound studio in Vancouver, just being an intern. And then I just worked so hard, and they had an opening, again, luck, that they asked me to keep coming in. And while I was there, I was just constantly meeting casting people and other actors and building relationships. And an actor I met who I became friends with was like, hey, I got a cartoon audition, and cartoons aren't really my thing, but I know you're really good at them. Will you help me with my audition? And I've asked my agent to also submit you if you audition as well. And I just lucked out and helped him with his audition, did my own, sent it to his agent, and then she got back to me 2 days later saying, these are great, are you looking to be repped? And that's how I got my first agent. I've since switched agencies in the ether of my career, but that was so valuable to me. And I'm like, it's hard to, my journey is not great advice, because it's so specific. It's so about where you were at certain times, and a lot of people's stories are like that. A lot of actors fall into it never thinking they're gonna do it, because it's just how their lives went and where their career took them.
When I got my first agent, it was like a weird serendipitous, like, hey, oh, I know who you are because I know your kid works on this thing. Oh, that's cool. Oh, hey, kid, let's do voices back and forth in my day job. Oh, that's great. You should think about voice acting. Well, I need an agent. Oh, well, send me your demo. Like, that's how I got my first agent. So sometimes it's just weird.
Serendipitous is a great word, because it's so, like, you need to have the skills and the ability and the talent to back it up, but luck and being in the right place at the right time is gonna push you a lot in this career. And then having those skills to then back up the opportunities you get will help you go further.
Yeah, I always love those stories, those little luck stories that I hear from voice actors. And booking my first, like, professional voice acting gig was sort of a luck thing, where my girlfriend knows someone who worked at a studio, and then I got to try out for this thing, and just doing it that way with Hello Hero Epic Battle was just kind of like another, like, oh, we knew somebody in the industry, look at the luck of that.
Right, my before I had an agent, the studio I was working at was doing a cartoon, and the casting woman on that was doing another show, and she's like, hey, Caitlyn, why don't you come in? I know you're trying to get into it.
Yeah.
And then luckily I went in, and I was, like, decent enough that at the end she's like, wow, you're really good, which then keeps me getting considered. But just meeting this woman and kind of working with her in a business facet allowed her to be like, hey, I know you, and think you're pretty cool, and you seem interested in this industry. Why don't you come audition? We got an open call for a thing.
No, that's super cool. And yeah, it's just luck. Luck's a big factor.
You need the skills to back it up, but luck is going to help you get those opportunities at the start.
I think those are brilliant answers. Excellent. We are going to move on to our final question. We're just breezing through these. The roulette question, as I call it. So let's random number generate. Ooh, And top of the list, number 10, what is a favorite place of yours to vacation to?
Ooh.
Where do you like to vacation to the most?
Okay, this is such a basic answer.
Okay.
I love Seattle.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of walking vacations. I'm a big fan of like having like a list of some things you could do, but then just going to a city and kind of just walking around and finding food places and finding like, oh, we kind of want to check out this cool event here. So how about we spend the entire day walking around this area and then we'll end up there. So I love walking on vacations. I love exploring cities. And so Seattle is wonderful because it's so close to home. And it's like, I always say it's different enough to feel like you're on vacation, but similar enough to feel like you're maybe still in Vancouver.
I think, that's just totally echo that. That's a perfect description of it. I've visited Seattle myself probably 5 or 6 times now because I've gone down there for like Emerald City Comic Con, and then my family did a big meetup there. And yeah, exactly. So you kind of you get a general knowledge of where things are as long as you know how to walk from the convention center to Mod Pizza. That's all I care about.
Right.
But no, it's a very walkable place, and I agree with having walkable vacations is really nice. People who plan to come to visit Vancouver, we luckily have a very nice city to walk around in. Absolutely. On my free time when I moved back here to get used to figuring out where the bus routes went, I would walk the perimeter of the seawall regularly.
Oh, it's an amazing walk.
Oh, it's a totally kick-ass walk. I love it. And it like introduced me to my favorite view in all of Vancouver, because one day I didn't want to do the full walk, so I cut across the Cambie Street Bridge, and that is my absolute favorite view. You get Granville Island, you get North Van in there a little bit, you get Telus World of Science, you get the inlet, like gorgeous, stunning, and at nighttime, ugh, killer. So yeah, I totally get that.
Right? Like I'm never a fan of vacations where you're so wrapped into the plans that you don't have time to kind of smell the flowers and take a city in. And Seattle is our go-to just because we've been there a lot and it's so easy for us to get there. Well, not now. In the before times, it was. But like places like New York and Chicago and these beautiful walkable cities are just, I love that. I love a city where you can walk, find a greasy burger joint. Walk, find a weird used DVD store, walk, and suddenly you're at a fountain park. I love that.
Yeah, when I talk to people about vacation stuff, because I have been blessed to have grown up on the island of Oahu for 13 years. So people will come to me and they'll ask me about what sort of places to go, and I try not to be like, oh, well, don't go to the touristy spots, because you know what, if you want to go to the touristy spot and that's something you really have your heart set on, at the end of the day, go to the touristy spot. Go to Waikiki if you want to. That's fine. I just think that there are 1,000,001 other things that you could be doing in going around somewhere like that where everybody goes and does the same things. You should be going to like little hidden beaches in Lanikai and trying, you know, the small mom and pop stuff, and I totally get that. And you know, walkable places. There's a lot of good trails to do on the islands, but don't be afraid to do the touristy stuff, but
take time to explore just the city, because you'll find some stuff that you never expected. Like Ian and I were down in Seattle and we found this ginormous used DVD and record store. And we spent like 3 hours there, and I found a DVD copy of My Neighbor Totoro, the original English dub before Disney did it.
Yeah.
Which was the version I grew up with.
Right.
And I'm just like, I love this kind of stuff. I love old used stores and like cheap food places and weird candy shops. Like, and that's the stuff you'll find by just walking and just kind of exploring.
Yeah, that's stunning. I can't for the life of me remember, there was an ice cream parlor when I met up with my mom in Seattle one time with a couple of my brothers, and we went to this ice cream place. I don't remember. It was in the general vicinity of Pike Place, but it was really good. It was a nice little like memory that I'll have of this place that we just kind of like, we're like, oh look, ice cream. Let's just go there.
Right?
Right? Love
and there's
that.
a lot of good food. There's a lot of good food in Seattle.
Well, luckily they're in a decent vicinity to us here in Vancouver, which arguably has one of the best food scenes on the planet, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
To all of you listeners out there who are like, should I visit Seattle or Vancouver when the world reopens? oh my gosh, there's so much food here. Come eat.
Granville Island Market. If I'm gonna request, I'm gonna offer an option for when people come back.
I feel like I know what your option is, and I'm all for it.
Granville Island Market. Go to Siegel's Bagels. And get the steamed Montreal meat bun.
And then if you want something sweet, head over to Lee's Donuts.
Lee's Donuts.
Best donuts in the city.
Oh, see, okay, all right.
I'm a lady who loves donuts.
Okay, I can appreciate the Lee's, I can appreciate the Cardams, but I do have a really big, soft spot for Duffins.
Okay.
The Angel Donuts at Duffins, because price-wise and quality-wise, I think they're killer. Brecca's pretty great as well. I also do
Brecca is really good. I think Lee's Donuts are the best donuts in the city, but Duffins is an experience.
Yes.
And if you are able to go to Duffins, go to Duffins, because it is 24-hour donut, breakfast, and Chinese food, and it is just a delight of this city.
It is the weirdest eclectic mix of nonsense, and I love it. If your buddy wants pupusas and you want a banh mi and your other buddy wants some
pancakes,
the best fried chicken in town, and pancakes and donut and like smoothies, and yeah, it's a killer place to go.
Oh yeah.
I love that. Well, on that little sweets note, I think we'll wrap it up here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So much for coming and doing this. I know everything's a little bit hectic right now with everything going on, but I really genuinely appreciate you coming out and hopping online into the Zoom meeting, and chatting with me and doing this little interview here. I want to
No worries, dude.
Yeah, thank you. I want to give you the opportunity right now to just shout out whatever the heck you want. Any projects you're working on or little things that you worked on that you want people to check out, or whatever it is. Now is your time to give us the deets on that. Go.
Okay. My name's Caitlyn Bairstow. Hi. You can follow me on my Twitter at @KatieBear. I worked on Mega Man Fully Charged, which is amazing and you should watch. A show I did called Tobot Athlon just came out on Amazon Prime. That's one of those little ones that I did that I loved my character and it kind of dropped to no fanfare. I'm in the Willoughbys movie, very briefly. You can hear me here and there. I did a bunch of Hatchimals content as a pixie, and Dragalia Lost, if you like phone games. I play 4 characters in Dragalia Lost, and probably other stuff I can't mention, NDA, but you guys are great, and keep on being super. I lightning round through that.
You did. That was amazing. I feel that NDA thing. I finally had this thing that me and like 4 other people have teased finally came out. So I'm glad we can finally talk about that, which is excellent. But that's a story for another time. Yeah. Thank you, people who are listening. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we are off air.